So, one of the biggest movies, of course, of 2018 was Avengers Infinity War. And, of course, all year everyone asked me, did I see this movie? And the answer I kept telling everyone was no, I didn't see any movies. I don't think I went to the movies once in 2018 to see a movie. Everything was at home because I didn't have a lot of money this year, you know. I didn't have money to go blow on this kind of stuff. And, you know, some people even offered, we'll pay you to go see it. And I was like, no, I got to work. That's the other thing. Like, time away from streaming to go watch a movie is time that I need to make money. So I never saw it. Finally, it was made available on demand on Netflix this week. And I already knew the whole plot because I read spoilers online on purpose because I didn't want people trying to come into my streams and basically spoiling and doing shit like that. I'll just read the fucking plot synopsis for myself so I understand what they're doing with this movie, okay? I have mixed feelings about it. I definitely have mixed feelings about it. Now, I'm going to say this. For those of you who didn't see the movie, I'm talking about the movie. There will be spoilers, okay? So if you don't want to hear spoilers about this movie, go take a break. What I'm going to do is talk about Infinity War, then take a break on the stream, so you could just go away until I come back from break, okay? But I don't want anyone who hasn't seen Infinity War to be spoiled. If you're watching the video on YouTube, this segment will be about Infinity War. You'll want to skip it, okay? There will be spoilers. Spoiler alert. Okay, I think I've given enough of a spoiler alert, all right? So, first thing, I really liked the action sequences in this movie. They were very well choreographed and designed, although every single one of them was CGI. You guys know how I feel about CGI. I don't like movies that are all CGI. And it was sad because the very first scene, Thanos is holding a guy who's supposed to be a human writhing in pain, and you could tell he's just a fucking CGI model. It's, you know, I hate that shit. They couldn't superimpose a human to make it look realistic. No, it's CGI and it looks like shit. So what I don't get about these movies, like, really well written dialogue, intricate plot, great acting, and then the CGI sequence looks like shit. I just get it. It pisses me off. Okay. But I did actually like the combat, like seeing some of these action sequences. The first action sequence in New York City, where you got Doctor Strange and what's his name? Is his name Wang or whatever? His friend, fighting. I forget his name too. Oh god, I can't remember the guy who has the telekinetic powers. And really cool fight where they're using magic versus his powers, and they're throwing these objects around, and then zoom to the other side of town where Iron Man and Spider-Man are fighting, you know, the big roided dude. Really cool fight. And really well done, in my opinion. Is it Wang? It's Wong. I was off by one letter. It's Wong, not Wang. My bad. So it was Wong and Doctor Strange fighting, what's his face? I don't think anyone even knows their fucking names. I know they're part of the Black Order. Like, you know what? Hold on. I'll tell you their names right now. You want to know why? Because they're all in my mobile game. They're all characters in my mobile game, Marvel Future Fight, that's booting up right now. And no, I'm not paid for a plug. This is a mobile game I played for years. So I have them all. I can tell you their real names. Hold on. I think the big guy's name was like Obsidian Cull or something like that. I know the woman's name is Proxima Midnight. They're all part of the Black Order, who's supposed to be an elite group of aliens that fight for Thanos. So Corvus Glaive was the dude with the double spear. Cull Obsidian was the name of the big roided dude, basically. Yeah, Proxima Midnight was the chick. And then the telekinetic guy was Ebony Maw. Okay, there you go. So I thought the fights with them were actually really good and well choreographed, and I actually really enjoyed that. The final fight, I thought, was 100% a ripoff of Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Like, that fight was meant to emulate that fight, where, oh, look, it's an army of enemies, and they're trying to break the defenses, and then they find a way to break the defenses, and then the heroes come out, and there's a big epic showdown, and look, they're competing to kill the enemies, much like how Gimli and Legolas were competing to kill the enemies. Now the heroes are competing to kill the enemies, and everything's going on there, and then all of a sudden, to the rescue, someone shows up at the last minute. In this case, it's Thor, shows up at the last minute to save them all. You see, it was like almost the same sequence. It felt like I was watching the same sequence a second time. Okay, but anyway, I did, in general, enjoy the action sequences of the movie, alright? I really enjoyed the dialogue. I enjoyed seeing all the Marvel characters from all these separate Marvel movies finally interacting together for once, which we hadn't seen. I thought it was odd that Ant-Man wasn't part of it, but I guess Ant-Man and the Wasp came out after this movie and explained why, what they were doing during it, or whatever. So that's why they weren't part of it. But for me, the dialogue was great, but the plot of this movie was all over the fucking place. Like, what I really hate about certain superhero movies these days is that I'll suspend my disbelief to a certain point, but I won't think that someone is so fucking dumb that they'll just ruin everything. Like, Star-Lord losing control when they have control of Thanos, and they could take the gauntlet off of him and maybe stop him. Oh, I can't control my human emotions. I'm so angsty. Let me ruin the whole thing for the entire universe. What the fuck? Like, seriously? It's so lame. Or, at the very end of the movie, so this is a big spoiler, when Thor comes to save the day with his magic axe, it was so lame because in the actual Infinity War storyline, there's an ultimate weapon. It's called the Ultimate Nullifier. And it's actually this cool plotline behind the scenes where Doctor Doom and Kang the Conqueror, two big ominous villains in the Marvel Universe, are teaming up, which is unprecedented. They're two really big villains in the Marvel Universe, team up behind the scenes of everything going on in the Infinity War to find the Ultimate Nullifier so they can stop Thanos, but they find it too late, and Thanos already has all the gems, or excuse me, not Thanos, Thanos isn't the villain of the Infinity War in the Marvel Comics, if you can believe it. But anyway, they finally get the Ultimate Nullifier. They shoot it at the guy who has the Infinity Gauntlet, and it doesn't work. So it's like a big build-up, and it doesn't actually do anything, okay? In this movie, Thor's goal is to get an axe. What? Why is this axe so powerful? Oh, because it was planned to be the weapon of a king. But the Asgardians are pussies. Like, they got their asses whooped by Thanos and the Black Order, so obviously the Asgardians weren't actually powerful in comparison to any of these Infinity Gems. So why could they now make an axe that's more powerful than the Infinity Gems? It doesn't even make sense. Like, this is what I mean, like, plot holes like that piss me off, but, like, at the very end of the movie, Thor has a chance to kill Thanos and just save everyone. And what does he do? He throws the axe and hits him in the chest. You are a god. You have probably killed thousands, if not millions, of, like, enemies in your life, and you don't understand to kill someone, you hit them in the face, the head, the brain. You hit them in the chest. Like, you see what I mean? Like, it's just bad writing. If that's the case, it should have just been he threw the axe and missed. Because what was the point? You know? And that's what pisses me off about it. That really is what pisses me off about that stuff. So, anyway. So, some of the things, here's some questions that I have about the movie that were never answered during the course of watching the movie that pissed me off. First of all, why did Thanos wait until just now to attack and take all these stones? We've had 10 years of Marvel movies, right? We had, you know, situations where the stone, the Infinity Stones, were completely unguarded and never had any defenses on them whatsoever, and could have easily been taken by Thanos and any of these Black Order people at any point during this time. Only today does Thanos decide, it's the day that I've decided it's time to go out and do this. Like, it's so silly because there's no actual, like, thing that caused him to do it. It would have been like, okay, Thanos finally found out where all the gems are, so now he's going. That's not even the case. He knew where some of them were before. There were references to him knowing where there were in the past. Why didn't he get them then? Why is he now deciding to get them all in one movie? It just really doesn't make any sense. Like, he's like, it's just kind of silly. Now, some people will say, well, he just got the gauntlet. So what? You could still get the fucking stones first. Just don't use them, right? Because they say you need the Infinity Gauntlet to harness the power of the stones or they're uncontrollable. So just keep them in a fucking box then. You know? That's what everyone else... The Tesseract was literally a box with a fucking Infinity Stone in it. The Time Gem was a little amulet with the fucking Infinity Gem in it. So it's not like you couldn't have a way to store them. There's no explanation for it. All of a sudden we decided to make a movie and now Thanos is going to get all the gems. We couldn't do it in the last 10 years. It was too much of a chore. He was a little busy, you know. He wanted to make sure that all his favorite TV series ended and shit before he actually had to get to business. So it's kind of silly. Okay. Another thing about these movies that I never get is the perfect timing of everything. That makes no sense. Everything just aligns perfectly for this to happen. So in the movie, the Guardians of the Galaxy just happened to decide to go to Titan, Thanos' homeworld, so that there can be an interaction. Excuse me, I skipped a part. The Guardians of the Galaxy just happened to decide to go to nowhere to meet the Collector, because they think the Collector has one of the Infinity Stones. Thanos just happens to be there at the time that they are, so that he could just happen to kidnap Gamora, because, hint, hint, plot exposition, later on in the movie, there'll be a point where Thanos needs Gamora for something, and if he didn't have her, the whole plot couldn't advance, right? And this is what gets me, is like, I hate when it's just poor writing. Oh, there's this Infinity Stone you can only get if you sacrifice the one thing that you love, and just by complete chance an hour earlier, Thanos ran into the one thing he loves. I hate that shit. Like, okay, what should have happened was Thanos went to the planet, runs into, spoiler, Red Skull. Red Skull says, you need to sacrifice that which you love. Okay, he has to go find the Guardians, fucks the Guardians up, kidnaps Gamora, goes back and gets the gem. Not, oh, by complete chance I happen to stumble into them, and now everything comes together. I hate that shit. Oh, and another thing. So this is hilarious too. Apparently Thanos has an insanely huge army of people, right? So if he has an insanely huge army of minions, why the fuck didn't he send the army out to get the gems previously? If he has thousands of minions that he could have sent out over the years to grab all these gems, why the fuck did he wait until a gem was in Wakanda and now he's going to send his army against the Wakandan defenses? You could have done it before, stupid. You know what I mean? And again, it really did feel like Lord of the Rings. Like, oh, in Lord of the Rings, they've been breeding orcs for generations so they could finally attack Gondor and try to take over the humans. And it felt like, oh, he's been training his minions for generations to finally take over Wakanda. It felt like they copied it. It really did to me. Like, it felt like a copy and paste from Lord of the Rings Return of the King. And that kind of pissed me off. Oh, and now the one big thing for me that, honestly, if they go this route, this is really going to annoy me, is it seems like they may have completely changed Thanos' motivations for everything he's doing. So, in the movie, it's explained that basically he used to be one of the head researchers, scientists on his world of Titan. And his world, just like Earth, was becoming overpopulated. The resources were becoming overextended to the point where there was no way that their planet was going to be able to sustain the amount of Titans that were living on this planet. And Thanos, as the head scientific researcher, told the people on his planet, the only way we can survive is to cull the population. Half of us need to die. So what we need to do is kill the weak half of the population to make it fair, and the survival of the fittest, the strongest survive, they keep the resources, and then we'll survive. But apparently his people didn't agree with him, and his whole planet was destroyed because they overused all the resources. There was a war, and the whole planet was destroyed, right? Okay, I get that. But now all of a sudden, I've decided I'll just do it to the whole universe. Since my people didn't listen to me, and our world got destroyed, I'm just going to find these Infinity Gems and destroy the whole fucking universe. Like, what? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, that's a terrible motivation. And to me, the motivation that he's using to do it is the motivation of Apocalypse. For those who are X-Men fans, Apocalypse was supposed to be an alien, okay, who's the origin of mutants on Earth. Apparently, Apocalypse was an alien who landed on Earth in Egypt, and they used his blood to put into other humans and made them the first mutants. and they became the chosen race, the ones who were going to be the inheritors of the earth. And basically, Apocalypse's mentality was survival of the fittest. Only those who were the strong should survive. And he wanted to cull the humans and make it basically a planet of mutants. Okay? And it was kind of the same thing. They turned Thanos into Apocalypse. It's the same exact reasoning that Apocalypse used to use in the X-Men comic books. And it's sad because that's not Thanos' motivation. Now, this is another spoiler. Even if you saw the movie, this is a new spoiler. All right? So I don't know if this is what they're going for, guys. And if they don't, I'll be very disappointed, because here's the true motivation of Thanos in Marvel Comics, okay? Thanos is the ultimate romance story. And basically what the point is, it doesn't matter how strong you are, it doesn't matter how omnipotent you are, that emotional feelings can still take you over, and the power of love or desire can take you over and make you do irrational things. And that was always the point of the Thanos storyline, was this was a guy who had everything. He had the ultimate power, and what did he do? He tried to get a girl. So in the actual plot line of Marvel Comics, of all things, Thanos falls in love with death. He actually wants to court death. And there's actually a line, and I forget which movie it is. It might be Avengers, or it might be Guardians. In one of the post-movie scenes, early on, the first time we ever really saw Thanos in the Marvel movies, his assistant says to him, oh, it seems like to finally go after these humans or these Avengers is to court death. And it's kind of like a nudge to the Marvel Comics, motivations that Thanos used to have. So Thanos, the only way Thanos could get Death's attention would be to kill a ton of people. So he got the Infinity Gems to kill almost everyone to get Death's attention and say, look, I'm omnipotent, notice me. Because otherwise, even with all the power and all the things and accomplishments he had done, he could never get Death to notice him. Now you may be saying, doesn't make sense. Death is what is Death? In the Marvel Universe, Death is a woman called Lady Death. And it's an actual creature, an entity, not just an ambiguous thing that happens to all living creatures, but it's actual thing that takes your life essence when you die. So he wants to court and basically be in a romantic relationship with Death, and getting the Infinity Stones is the only way he can get her attention, basically. Okay? Now, a lot of you may say this is lame. This is just the original plot line. And it seemed to me like building up, especially with that reference I said, to the court death reference they had said as like a little nudge to Marvel fans during one of the movies. I thought that's what they were going with. Then the movie comes out, I watch, I'm like, this is like shit. I don't want to hear that he wants to kill half the population because he thinks resources are going to run out. That's so lame. That's Apocalypse. That's not Thanos. That's Apocalypse. That's a different plot line from a different Marvel comic. And I'm okay with that if it was Apocalypse in this movie. It's not. And that kind of pissed me off. Because I definitely wanted to see that plot line. And it didn't happen. So far, anyway. Now, maybe it will. Maybe in the second half of Infinity War, which is Infinity War Endgame, Lady Death will show up. You got my attention, and blah, blah, blah. Because what actually happens in the comics is, Lady Death shows up and he does get Lady Death's attention, but basically she still won't be with him. And he's like, what the fuck do I have to do? And because he's so distracted, Nebula, which is one of his daughters, ends up stealing the gauntlet. And she becomes omnipotent for a short period of time until the heroes find a way to defeat her and trick her to get the gauntlet off of her, and then they win, basically. So, Nebula is still alive in the movies. Now, is she going to turn evil and end up getting the gauntlet by the end of this? I don't know. For me, I think they're going a completely original plot line. I don't think they're going to go by the comics at all. I think it was interesting that they kept Tony Stark alive. Like, according to Doctor Strange's plan, it was worth giving the time gem up in order to save Tony Stark's life. So in the one possible future that Doctor Strange saw, Tony Stark must live. So obviously Tony Stark has some kind of major fucking influence on what's going to happen in this next movie. So I don't know. So see, someone just made a really good point. They said Thanos has gems Oh, Cactus God says this. He says, Thanos now has gems that could do anything. He could just make unlimited resources, therefore you wouldn't have to kill anyone, so his motivations make no fucking sense. I agree, like, it's stupid. It really is stupid. Like, the movie makes no sense. When you really think about it, why did Thanos decide to attack now? Why are the heroes also fucking stupid? Why is Thanos doing this? His motivation is terrible. You see what I mean? Like, it seems like they wanted to make it more dumbed down, and when they did, it just doesn't make sense anymore. And that sucks because 10 years of culmination for these action scenes and interactions between the heroes, it was great, but the plot sucked. Like, I wish the plot was much better in execution, and so far, I didn't like the plot of Infinity War. So I'm hoping with Endgame, they flip it on its head and they fix it. But for now, I'm just kind of meh. I wasn't too impressed with it. Okay? Alright, so, a few shout-outs here. Your boy Bob did a 401-bit cheer and said, Happy New Year, mate. Thank you, your boy Bob. In fact, your boy Bob is now the top cheerer. Let's get him up on the leaderboard here. $401? Yeah, 401. Very good. The Pone Cake cheered and said, what would you do if you had the Gauntlet and the Power Stones? You don't want to know. Cats Like Jake cheered said, Thor wanted Thanos to know who killed him as a big fuck you and to get his revenge. Right. He's a stupid hero. So Peter Quill's a stupid hero because they've got Thanos defeated. They're going to take the gauntlet off of him, but he can't control his human emotions and rage, and he lets Thanos get free. Thor has Thanos defeated, could easily just chop his fucking head off, but instead goes for the chest so he could say, oh, I killed you, and then it doesn't work. Stupid heroes doing stupid things, that's why they always lose. I hate that. Ruby Atomic cheered and says, well, the writers had to condense 10 years of lore into 2 hours. I think that justifies some short footing. The amount of characters in the film to juggle and give them all equal time is incredibly complex, so I never questioned it. The task itself is colossal in size. Yeah, and you know what? I would actually say that in regards to all of the characters, I actually think the one Marvel character that got the short end of the stick was Black Panther. Like, even though he's in the movie, barely has any impact. Besides commanding Wakanda to defend a stone. Outside of that, he barely does anything. But he had just had a very popular movie that was all about him. So maybe that's why they decided that, to make him a minor character. Because he just had his own fucking movie. But, you know, and then Captain America, he's cool in the movie, but, like, he really doesn't have much impact either. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the heroes, you can't really use them that much. Because there's too many heroes in one movie. What I liked in the original Infinity Gauntlet of Marvel was that there was almost like every hero stepped up to face Thanos. Thanos was like, listen, I'm badass and omnipotent. None of you can fuck with me. I'll let you all come and face me one by one. Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, all stepping up, trying to fight him. No one could beat him. And that was the cool thing. Like, he proved he was the ultimate badass, and it was himself that caused himself to lose. He had won. There was no way Thanos was going to lose. It was his own fault that he was defeated in the comics. So, that's what I would have liked to have happened here. But sadly, now we have an omnipotent axe that hurts him. Okay, whatever you say. Thank you to 764 Vinicio for a resub, 3-month resub. And then I Go On Fishing asked, did Kat see the Avengers too? No, I actually watched it while she was at work. She's not interested in the Marvel Universe, Marvel movies or anything, so. Okay. Ruby Atomic says, wasn't there a second Infinity War in the comics? There were 3. There was Infinity Gauntlet. That was the original storyline where Thanos gets the gems, gets the gauntlet, and becomes omnipotent. Then there was Infinity War, where a new entity sought to reform the Infinity Gems into a gauntlet. And then there was Infinity Crusade, and that one got religious. And that one a lot of people hated because it added religious overtones, and a lot of people were like, what the fuck are they doing that for? I actually read some of that one, and I didn't even really like it that much. So there were 3 Infinity events in the Marvel Comics. I don't, at least during the 90s, I don't know if they did another one after that, but during the 90s there were 3. So,